On a double page spread, the audience expects to see a title, so therefore it's something that they look for. So we decided to use a documentary name, as it's something the audience will definitely take note of. It will be memorable, so therefore they'll remember the name in other ads, etc. It's also memorable because it's attractive and visually pleasing colours. This colour scheme is throughout the magazine, so it's part of the house style. As well as this, the alliteration is play on words. The font is in bold, in capitals and large in size. I added a stroke, which is a technical convention of magazines. It just makes the text stand out, which makes the audience eye attracted to it, so it's easier to read also. The rule of thirds is something that is used throughout magazines, and it's something that I've used in my own magazine also. This image takes over a third of the whole double page spread, which means it's eye-catching. Once again, this is a genre convention. Mise-en-scène elements are also effective, such as the presenter's costume. It is an example of continuity because she's wearing the same costume in the documentary, therefore it's recognisable for the audience. As well as this, the background relates to the subject, it's alcohol. The presenter's body language is strong and she looks as though she's investigating. Not to mention part of the costume, which is a trench coat, which some people make combine the idea with a detective investigating. The director dress is also very strong, relating to the body language. The use of this director dress applies to Hilary Radner's psychofemme theory, which describes women as retaining masculinity whilst retaining sex appeal and femininity. For instance, she's wearing makeup yet she's fully clothed. The fact that there is a woman on the double page spread would be attractive to both a male and female audience because of a change in generation values. I think that perhaps as documentary makers and magazine makers, we have mediated a representation of the young woman as to be a clever and not binge drinking person, such as the negative stereotypes that have been discussed within the documentary. Perhaps this makes us biased as documentary makers, as we are 3 females editing and creating it, so the encoded messages in both the magazine and documentary perhaps represent this. Another mise-en-scène element that we didn't really have to do much with is the lighting, as the store was well lit and the lighting on the face was how we wanted it to be. The blend into the right hand side page also makes it more effective, as it makes it seamless and attractive to the reader. The play on words is light-hearted, intriguing and interactive for the audience. This play on words is bottoms up, lets us in on everything booze, binge drinkings and bottles. This alliteration is fun for the reader, which is sometimes hard to achieve with documentaries. This is a way that we have challenged the conventions of the genre. The layout is attractive and clear, thanks to the lines we added during the editing stages. And finally, the content of the tagline is relevant and succinct. The secondary image matches the rest of the page. The positioning is central, which attracts the audience's attention. The circle and outline also makes it more attractive and matches the rest of the page once again. The image itself is a screenshot from the documentary. The mise-en-scène elements tell us this also. From the background, it relates to the subject. The costume, he is in a managerial role, he's our expert. The microphone presents the interview. It's a conventional interview shot type also. The symbolic convention is within the background and the costume. The representation encoded in this is the white male dressed smartly, perhaps suggests he's an expert or has a managerial role. One of the genre conventions that we used is columns. We use 3 as it is what the successful majority do. It makes the article clear to read and more aesthetically pleasing. The drop capital is clear, it helps aid the reader in the start of the article. Questions questions are in capitals, which makes them clear to read. The pull quotes are in a larger font as well. This is all conventions of magazines, especially TV listings. The verbal conventions that we used are interactive, such as direct address, so questions. We use facts, quotes, Q&A style and a byline. We also referenced our other products, such as our advert. This creates synergy between the products, ensuring that they're all successful. Within the strip we have the Radio Times branding. This informs the audience which magazine they're reading and makes it convincing like a real live product. The exclusive is a buzzword, you can call it, which is typical magazine lexicon and creates excitement around the product. The box with the programme information is conventional for a programme feature in a TV listing. The page number in the corner is also a code of magazines, as it makes it look more convincing like a real live product. So in conclusion, I've followed codes and conventions of magazines as I followed and referred to existing successful products such as other double page spreads made by the Radio Times to ensure it was similar to the products I created. I think Radio Times has a very distinctive look, therefore I chose to follow codes and conventions instead of developing or challenging them. As well as this, the target audience will recognise the features of the magazine, such as colour scheme and branding in relation to Radio Times. This is an example of Bath's science theory. I think it was successful because it looks like a convincing real product. It is visually appealing and straightforward to read.